I believe the crypto market is about to enter the best phase ever. And many people ask me every single day, is this the place to buy? Is this the place to get scared and sell? Are we at the all-time high? Is this the end? What should we be doing? And I tell you every single day that I take action. What are those actions? Well, for the most part, since every single dollar below the all-time high is basically a dip, I try to buy the coins. Today, XRP, BTC, Ethereum, you name it, almost every single altcoin saw a bit of a dip. Now, is this something to be afraid of, to sell and try to buy back even lower? That part, nobody really knows for sure. But I would say it like this. If you look at current prices and project where they will be over the next, let's call it 4 months, and this is not financial advice, I make no guarantees, personally believe I'm going to say for me, it's like 99.9%, but hey, I don't know what it is for you. I think we'll be up significantly within that time span. Will we be tomorrow? Will we be next week? Hard to say. Will we be over the next few months? Very likely that we're going to be at some sort of peak. And I've described 1,000 times before how I think it will happen. Right now, we are entering some sort of treasury bubble. All these different companies, as we saw just Tom Lee do, we've seen MicroStrategy do, which, by the way, just announced yet another massive purchase of BTC. All these companies will be buying massive billions dollars worth of crypto, and they announce it to the public. So this basically means that right now, today, we had another announcement of MicroStrategy saying, hey, we just bought, let's say, I don't know how much it was, let's just say $500 million or $2 billion worth of BTC. We plan to raise X amount more over the next couple of weeks, months, whatever, and we're going to buy more with it. This is basically the playbook that a ton of companies are following right now, and we basically get the chance to front run them. These companies have to state their purpose. They state how much they're trying to raise. They state what they want to buy. What is the probability that just because they state that everybody's buying, and that the moment that they buy, the price goes down, when there's still, theoretically speaking, a crazy amount of additional buy pressure that comes from multiple companies trying to copy it? Again, what we're basically measuring right now is how much more can prices go up based on this kind of interesting model of MicroStrategy, all these different funds buying these cryptos into tons. Because essentially, you're either saying, no, this is collapsing right now. All these different bubbles, they're going to come to some sort of crazy conclusion very, very soon. And I don't want to play part of it. So I'm going to sell everything right here pretty early into the bull market, except my win or loss, whatever you want to call it at this point, because it's still pretty early, but Bitcoin is at a crazy high point. ETH is back at almost the all-time high. XRP has done pretty well over this season. Some people are willing to accept it. But the way I see it is, the probability of this already being at the peak of how crazy and goofy it's going to get is very small. Because yes, there's a bit of a treasury craziness going around, but in reality, the numbers that they're pulling up, except for Tommy Lee with his $20 billion raise to buy ETH, which is huge, for the most part, they're all quite reasonable. And I really think that this whole implosion of sorts is going to happen primarily because they're trying to raise too much with too crazy a coin, with too many companies trying to do the same thing with additional leverage, where at some point people are not bidding on those companies anymore, just not making the stock perform, etc. Are we there yet? I'd say we're still pretty early into all of this. I still think it can drag out for many more months. And I still, as I've described 1,000 times by now, think that that is going to be the number one reason the crypto market will go into a bear market this season again and actually go down probably 80 or more percent because people went way too crazy on the risk scale. Now, over the past 24 hours, I've been looking at some of the best traders over the season, over the last, I'm going to say 3 months or so. And you really want to know one of the most interesting things they've done? The only thing they did is, for example, when it comes to Ethereum, and there's a very good example that I've got, but I just wanted to quickly state, MicroStrategy just bought another 400 Bitcoin for only $50 million. So to some, not that much, but still, it's 500 Bitcoin. He just bought it at 120K almost. And when you look at it, they've got freaking $46.1 billion worth of BTC. Just damn. But let me quickly say this. If you're looking for a platform to trade on, you guys know I trade these crypto coins every single day. I've always got millions of dollars worth of positions open right now. If you're wondering about our 𝗏𝗏, for example, a link for that is down below as well. Here's what the trades are looking like. Virtual still down, hype down, only like $1,000 or so. XRP, we're still up about $250,000. ETH, we're still up about $85,000 in Bitcoin. not too much, about 20, let's call it $23,000 here. The bots, I try to bundle a little bit more of them together so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm not sure why this bot is not going into the bundle, but anyway. So you can see I actually put in about $250,000 with about 5x leverage. So let's just say about $1.3 million or so. And we're actually up about $175,000 or so over what, the past 100 days, let's just call it 3 months, something like that. So basically we've doubled our money over the past 3-4 months, which is pretty insane when you take a look at the strategies which we've employed, right? And so when I go look at it, let's quickly click it right here. You can see on the right now all the different bots that we've got and how they're all doing. I actually, fun fact, have not looked at them in the last few days because I've been I've been maximum chilling. But then it comes to my attention that really some of these have been going absolutely insane. Take a look. Like over the past month or so, I put in 5,000 XRP into this bot. And even though now it's down a little bit because the XP price is down significantly since we started at $3.45. Can you see that it actually, was already able to cash out 589 XRP? And so yes, we're down a little bit, 868 XRP in the total, so we're down like 280 XRP. But this is all temporary as the price goes back up. Obviously, this is also going to recover in that sense. But it was already able to cash out 12% in just 1 month. I find that crazy, especially noting that I don't think the XP price actually went above where I started at. It kind of feels like this was always at a loss ever since I started. And when you take a look at the chart, that's basically been true. Right? It was only at profit for a very little amount, but that's the cool thing, right? As the price goes down hard, because here the price of XP went down hard, on the way back up, it's already done 8,500 transactions in the meantime. It was actually able to cash out so much that we still get ourselves about 12% or so, even though the price has been going down more than 10% in the process. So I find that really cool, and some of these have done even better than that, which is just absolutely insane. Just take a look at Pengu here. What the? Like 35%, even though it's only a 3x long as well. You can't see it perfectly, but it is. And of course, ETH is performing hugely here as well. And I want to scroll through, but I don't think it's necessary too much. What I was trying to show you was that all the links for this, if this is something you're interested in, are always down below here. I've also got a tutorial for how the bots work. But what I wanted to show you was this one post. A trader turned 125,000 into 30 mil in only 4 months. How did he do it? Well, mostly by being a bit of a degen and going long. So what does that mean? Well, he basically just said, I think ETH is going to go up. And you might say it's crazy amounts of leverage. Some people like to comment that, but it's actually not that much. 4 months ago, he put 125K into an account. In this case, it could have been bluff and it could have been anything, doesn't matter. And he went long on 2 accounts. He then masterfully compounded his profits, rolling every dollar he gained back into an ETH long to build a massive $303 million ETH long. The total equity has now gone from 125K to about 30 million. And this is freaking legendary. Now, is this easy? No, but nobody wants to claim that. All I'm saying is he's right now on average 10x long. And all he did was, wait, let me quickly zoom out a little bit. There we go. All he did was he said, hey, I think the ETH price is going to go up. And every time he was right, I mean, he started this at freaking $4,100, at least the end price here that he got to. And he basically just kept going crazier and crazier and crazier on it. I mean, the rest of the transaction don't matter. It's just to showcase the beginning amounts, that it was just like about $200,000 or about $125,000 to be exact. And you can see right now what he's gotten to, right? It's absolutely crazy. About $30 million, $20 million, and $9 million respectively in both of these accounts. And it's to me just staggering what he was able to do. And if you're wondering, is this really risky? Is this smart? Is this dumb? Well, if you start looking at the liquidation price, it's 4,200. This is quite high, right? And that's because, in theory, he just kept going crazier and crazier and crazier, expecting the price to go up. Now, for the last 4 months, it worked out beautifully, as you've seen. These strategies are easier, though, if you have some money on the sides to claim, or I should say, defend your position. In this case here, and let me say a few things. I have so much on my mind here to say. If you are able to turn $100,000 into 30 million, where are you going to quit, right? But some of these people, they want the hundreds of millions. They want to become a billionaire, and some people will do it. But some irrational fear of losing money should kick in for most people, where they're actually quite satisfied with turning $100,000 into 2 million and they quit. But that's also what stops them from greatness sometimes. Theoretically speaking, this guy was able to build you can see here, right? $100 million position right there, and here about $200 million. So he opened a $300 million position. If ETH had gone now from 4,000, where he entered, to $8,000 without going down too much to, for example, below 4,200, in this case here, you understand that he would have made himself, in that case, $300 million. That was the whole concept right there. And that's how people can go a bit crazy, but that's the power of compounding. Especially if you compound in the process, you could have actually ended up with potentially $1 billion or so with only ETH doubling. And that's again the crazy part. He could have potentially done this from a $3,000 ETH, but let's just say he started it lower. We can actually see, if we look at this 4 months ago and we see the amount of ETH, 0.125 ETH, 1/8 or so, I would say this is about $1,500 in ETH or so that he could have started this journey at. So ETH in the meantime had, for example, tripled. But if you still consider it, he went from 125K to 30 mil, even though the price only tripled. This is why I often say in my videos that some people who are just better, perhaps, at this leverage game are really able to make crazy amounts off of it. And so people like to say, don't glorify this. Don't say this is something that should be attempted. And I always counter by saying, I never try to claim that anybody can do it. But I'll counter myself sometimes by saying anybody, any random person could. It's just that, theoretically speaking, the odds are against you because this guy really had freaking balls of steel. And even with my positions, right? If we take a look at this XRP long that we've got, right? It's $1 million long, for example. I could have taken this 200,000, just cash it out right now, enter back in. Then, if it's 10x leverage, our liquidation price would be from the current price, let's say 250, 309, right? About 10% below, let's just say $2.80, maybe something like that, maybe slightly lower if we kept some more money in our account. And as long as the price doesn't go below $2.80, now all of a sudden we could have done, right, the $107,000 I put in before plus 250,000, let's just say. Now we all of a sudden had a $350,000 XRP long times 10, 3.5 million. Right? And if we kept stacking it up, the moment we were in some more profit, we again stack it in and dub. If you're lucky, you catch a bottom or you catch a pretty good price. This is also where just entire freaking bloodlines are retired off of. But the reason I just try to showcase it is because, theoretically speaking, if the crypto market just moves the way it's always done, and we don't enter into the end phase of the bubble where things just collapse basically now, as long as the run is not over, this, for the most part, works pretty nicely, depending on the leverage. But the reason I opened, for example, a 3x long was to state that if you're buying coins where you expect it to not outperform ETH at a 3x long, which is very hard to get wrecked on, because that means you would probably need to see like a 33% move on ETH in a day. Pretty low chance of that. It's not impossible, but a pretty low chance, right? And I can defend it because the position is very small. It's only a couple $100,000. I could always put some more money in to make sure I do not get wrecked on this, because if you're doing this guy's strategy, I don't know how you have the guts to do that. Like, that is hard. But I just wanted to showcase it because this is all verifiable. Anybody can look up his addresses and can see how he's done it. See exactly when he repurchased. All this, you can all see it. It's all public information. And the reason I sometimes like to showcase it, to give people some hope, just to showcase that people really make crazy amounts off of little. I mean, $125,000 is still a lot of money, but to go to 30 mil is obviously insane, right? You get what I'm trying to say. And all it takes, for the most part, you could call it luck, but all it takes really is confidence that this is not the point where the market goes to zero. Because at that point, he'd have to get everything out. But he keeps long and the longs, going crazier and crazier and crazier. And thus far, theoretically speaking, in crypto, it has always worked since its inception, depending on the leverage, right? But you can even kind of theorize this with no leverage at all. If you, throughout time, had always just continued to buy, because almost every single crypto is basically at all-time territory, it would have always worked. Just take a look at Chainlink, how crazy it's been going. Take a look at ETH, how crazy it's been going. Yes, ETH is not multiples from the previous all-time high, but I've stated 1,000 times, oh, as long as ETH is below, 𝗕𝗶𝘀𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗡, I don't remember all the prices, it's still very cheap. It's only like a few days ago that all of a sudden we got back to like 4,800. Before that, it was all cheap, basically. If you just kept stacking. Just like this guy, for example, he was not able, in that little span of time, like 4 months, able to turn 125,000 to 30 mil. All why? Well, theoretically speaking, he could have built a massive position beforehand. He could have really gotten wrecked time and time again as the price moved down. But now all of a sudden, he got himself a good entry at 1,500 and went crazy on it and kept believing. That's why I always say, if you really believe in these coins, which is what I personally do, it's really quite hard to lose long term. On the short term, you may hate your life, right? And if you're doing the craziest of leverage, like 50x, for example, your margins are too thin, where if you really are an expert, you can probably make it work, but most people can't. And I personally also, it's not the easiest thing to do, right? But if it's a little bit lower, you can really make a lot of use of the extra possibilities that it gives you, because it, theoretically speaking, boosts your purchasing power by a lot, or just your short-term allocation where the rest of your capital is still free to do something else. So again, even if you're doing a position, sometimes, let's just say I have $100,000 in my account, I still might, not want to fully leverage it out to the maximum of its possibility. but just to slightly less. So I can defend to the downside slightly more if need be. But then in the meantime, I can use that money to generate yield somewhere else. I'm not saying that this will actually outperform the yield you're paying for, the funding fees basically, but that could again be you just want to keep the dollars in your account just to have them and then allocate accordingly. I mean, there's a lot to be said about all this, but what I basically wanted to say in this video was I take action every single day. All I do is just buy like a maniac. At first, I kept saying, because every single dollar, ETH, for example, or BTC is below an all-time high, that's called a dip. And if you'd consider that strategy the last few months, you see how good you would have done right now. Every single time the market dips, like yesterday, right? Like today, even earlier today, I get questions all the time of, is it over? Is it over? Well, you may think so, but if you really think so, short the living crap out of it, you'll make a ton. But there's a very good chance that it's not. And actually, matter of fact, I see the probability of the market hitting the craziest spot ever still to be so much higher that even though we're not so sure on the week, the day, something like that, it is so, in my opinion, worth it to try our luck here, to go a bit crazy and try it, because otherwise I might regret it forever. And so all I'm doing every single day is buying more coins, sitting here waiting patiently, right? Some days it's not fun to watch your portfolio go down, right? Maybe even just these trades. I think if we compare it to last week, it might be down a couple $100,000, right? Doesn't bother me. I don't look at it. Don't consider it. Why? Because I know the crazy numbers that this can go to. As a matter of fact, if the market moves down hard, if we get another Ethereum crash, now you've seen again what I've been telling you for so many months, right? It's only the last few weeks that you realized, oh yeah, ETH is actually all the way back to 4,800, right? But we bought that dip here at 34. A lot of people said, no, ETH is not going to hit an all-time high. It's going to go keep down, down. Right now, many will say that this was the craziest for ETH. I will keep saying, I think ETH is going to get close to $10,000. It might not get to the point because if everybody's watching for a 10K ETH, right, which I still think is quite low, but hey, if everybody's watching for it, we might get to only like 8,900, some number like that. But I still actually see ETH going above $12,000 even, because on average BTC, I think most coins akin to it, similar and kind of similar levels, just high up on the ranking, should probably triple at least every single cycle. And the lower you go, the more they usually do. But that also depends on how much inflation there's been for the token, because we should usually state that market cap could somewhere along the lines of triple, not necessarily just token price, because those are two very, very different things. But regardless, I still think that ETH has underperformed significantly. And if you take a look at ETH versus BTC, you really start analyzing the chart there. You realize, yeah, it's done good numbers the last few weeks, sure, but it's mostly a redemption rally, and this was kind of nothing. As I stated last week also, what we want to see for ETH is ETH breaking out, going crazy, sure, but we don't want it to do that without Bitcoin going. What happened pretty quickly afterwards? Bitcoin all of a sudden broke the new all-time high. That was just last week, right? That was basically the sign that we needed to just get a little bit more confidence. And I stated as well that now, for me, the altcoin season is more than ever confirmed. Every single part that we've planned out has worked out beautifully thus far, and all we got to do is be patient and be able to hold through it. Every single time the market moves down like just now, people start panicking. I see the comments, and all I got to say is the only action I'm taking is I'm buying these freaking dips. And the only problem I have is that I kind of want them to go down even further, hopefully even below my entry, just so I can 10 times them. But yeah, that's about it for my thoughts. I'm super excited right now. I've never been as excited for the crypto market as I am right now. All I got to be is patient. Oh, many of my friends are posting that this is going to last a few more months of down before we go up like crazy. All I'll say about that is many of y'all will have some very dire times in the midst. A lot of y'all will give up before the craziest of parts comes. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people will really, really hate their life probably in the next few weeks as we get another crash of sorts going. Trading Lord here is also saying, who's ready for the Q3, the third quarter of the year, flush to maybe like $110,000 per Bitcoin before that buy, or the buys that people are going to be doing around that level, for example, will be followed by logging off forever, which means that you basically retire your entire bloodline because of the crazy trades you're about to make. And you're going to see it. Even a lot of people on this channel right now will get themselves a buy-in, especially if the market flushes one more time. And you could have done that with XRP recently as well, right? If the market moves down so hard, all of a sudden you find some courage, you really go for it. And like this person was able to do by buying ETH at 1,500, he all of a sudden was able to turn his 125K into 30 mil. There's going to be people, even maybe now, you and your friend, and maybe one more friend are watching the same exact video, watching this right now. Maybe one of you takes the action. He goes crazy for it because he has confidence. The other person kind of buys a little bit, and the other person is like, ooh, I get scared. You'll see that on the short term, one person really may be very much above the other because, well, one was scared, he took it out. So he's looking better for the short term, right? But if you look at the long term, probably the person who was crazy committed, really, really believed in it, is going to be up significantly more than the rest. These are, again, my personal thoughts, but I always say it like this in the sense of, if you really don't think so, if you really think this is going to zero, short the crap out of it and let me know why. Right? If you really think it's going to zero, just go for it. Go and put your money towards it because you can. You can short the living crap out of everything. People make tons of money with that too by saying, hey, this is wrong. Like you notice from The Big Short, the movie, right? But it's harder to say that the market's going down than go up. Because again, basically the trend thus far forever has been upwards. And you are now saying that this is where everything is over and goes to zero. If you think you've got the courage to go and say this is the exact point and never higher than this again, wow. Because that's crazy. It's so much easier to just say, nah, we'll probably go up from here. Because I think in crypto thus far, theoretically speaking, nobody could have actually done bad because Bitcoin is at an all-time high. ETH is basically at all-time high. It's only people who either lose their confidence or overcomplicate things. But as you have seen just now with the guy building that crazy position, all he did was just say, no, we're going up. And as long as you had a little bit more wiggle room, because his is kind of sketchy, it's a bit small. As long as you've got some wiggle room, it would have worked out beautifully. Which is why I explained my 3x long theory of ETH, right? Where that's like the baseline of how to do well in a bull market, in my personal opinion. But yeah, I still think these coins are going to absolutely send. I'm more confident than ever. I know there might be one more flush somewhere along the way, and many people will get wrecked right there before all of a sudden we lift off the freaking roof and never are able to look back at these freaking low-ass prices. But yeah, that's about it. If you also want to trade, like I've said, I got some links down below. Just wanted to quickly make my thoughts clear again. I'm taking action right freaking now. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, man, it's going to get so crazy. It's my personal belief, though. Yeah. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree.